And hold on. We're live.
Hold on.
How we doing?
Doing good. Great.
Folks, tonight is three gentlemen talking about video games. Talk about life.
Isn't that what it is
Eating
every
frozen
time?
yogurt. But no, tonight we call it out specifically.
Okay.
How we doing?
Doing good.
Happy August. Or happy October, I mean.
I was like, what?
Happy August.
Are you okay, Billy?
Happy August is over. Okay. And then
We're way
September
past.
happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. Vegas hit 102 today. Imagine living down there.
Oh, it would suck.
It's October, and Vegas hits 102 degrees. That's unbelievable.
Inhumane.
Some would say. Some would
Yeah,
say.
those people are being tortured down there.
They said they had like 400 people die, or some close to like 400 people die to like heat. Heat
heat stroke?
exposure. Or, there was people who were like passing out. This was the craziest one. There was people who were passing out and falling on the ground because they were so intoxicated.
Oh, and then they get third degree
burning
right?
themselves.
I do remember reading
I heard
about
about
this,
that.
yeah.
It's just like, what a problem to have. It's unbelievable to even think about. That's just crazy.
Searing skin off just from falling on the concrete. That's nuts.
No, thank you.
Have you ever made like an egg or something like that? I always talk about making an egg over like a grate or a sidewalk.
I never tried, though. Did you guys?
It's never been hot enough here to do it, but like I know one time I was in Reading, it was like 119 degrees.
Oh my God.
And I do remember thinking like, yeah, this is egg cooking weather. this is hot.
Because I'm cooking myself.
Didn't your dad grow up in Arizona?
He didn't grow up in Arizona, but he used to live in Phoenix
Phoenix.
for a little bit.
He told me this story once when I was a kid. So when you would walk home from school, they'd have to like run in between houses to get to like the patches of grass because their shoes would melt.
He didn't live there when he was a kid. Yeah, so
Then maybe he didn't tell me that story.
no, I think he did, but I think you're kind of mixing it up. Like, I don't know, but you're right because he was in the military. Is what? No. He was in school. He was in college. He had moved away.
I'm going to school, Mom.
He lived there by himself. But yeah, no, he used to walk on the sidewalks and he used to look for the patches of grass because it was so hot that like he would leave footprints from the rubber melting off of his shoe if he stayed on the
Wow.
sidewalk too long. He said that the hottest it ever got was like 129.
Jesus.
Like,
129?
yeah, something like that.
What the fuck? I thought like the hottest place on earth was like 135 was the record. 129? That sounds absolutely miserable.
Is the hottest place on earth Death Valley?
I do believe so. I think they just set their record again this year. I think it's like 139 or something.
134.
Is that the record?
It's been held since 1911.
Oh, I thought Death Valley just beat it this year or this past year.
1913.
Jesus.
Furnace Creek Ranch in Death Valley. 134.1 degrees Fahrenheit, 56.7 degrees Celsius.
That's bonkers. That is no human should be around that.
And they have a ranch there?
I guess so.
We're ranching.
Ranch in the desert.
We're harvesting scorpions.
Scorpions.
What are you playing?
I've been playing. I caved and I got Wukong. But as you guys pointed out, not really caving, It's a game that millions of people have played.
I'm saying it's going to win Game of the Year.
I don't agree.
Oh, please tell.
Yeah, so I played it.
Explain.
I just got to Act 2, so I'll preface it with that I'm not, it's not like this is my full review. This is going to be like my first impression on the game. It seems like, to me, it's a combination of like Dark Souls type gameplay with God of War kind of like linear storytelling aspects kind of married together.
Billy got so bored he just left.
Yeah, he doesn't care at all, I guess, about the story that
What
he
an
asked me
ass.
to tell. So I think it's okay so far. The combat is fun. It's I don't know. I just feel like as far as combat, Dark Souls and Elden Ring like do it better, which they should because that's their thing, you know. And then story-wise, it hasn't done anything to impress me too much because it's jumped around a lot.
You just have to put in the 15 hours of work before it gets good.
Yeah, so maybe that's it. Maybe I just need to
Bullshit.
put in the 15 hours. Animation, graphic,
Atmosphere,
field design, everything beautiful. Looks beautiful. And it is amazing. Like, you're a monkey and you look like a monkey. It's crazy. The monkey physics are
Wukong.
insane. You're Wukong. I do kind of like how they're approaching mythology. Like, I mean, I'm a big mythology nerd, so I do enjoy when they kind of explore it and they make really fantastical elements. And like in the beginning, you play as like, does the typical thing a video game does where you get to play as like peak Wukong, like to like, this is,
Here's your abilities.
yeah.
And then they find a way to nerf you.
And then they take away everything. But
That is one of the worst steps I think a game can ever take. Is they make you taste
Yeah.
it, and then the rest of the game feels unsatisfying,
you're just working your way back up to that.
which is so unfulfilling.
I could see that, yeah. I mean, I think it worked well this one because when you get to play, at least as this Wukong, it's very short, limited. It's like a boss fight. And so you already don't know really how to play. It's like a tutorial / boss fight. So you aren't even using all the abilities to this full capability. So like there's a chance that you don't see all that it can do.
It's interesting they went that design route because to me, like, it was never marketed as like a Souls ripoff. It is its own game. They never really
Yeah.
tried to copy it. Although I think when you look at it, it objectively plays like a Souls game. But one of the things that I love so much about Souls is they give you, other than Dark Souls 2 where they got a little creative with the iframes, they give you all the tools to the action combat right away.
Yeah.
They don't mess around. They're like, here, this is as good as you're going to get. You have to get better. You're the one that levels up, in effect, right?
Yeah.
And so I really, it's interesting that they gatekeep a lot of that combat behind the
and
skill tree.
So how it works, like this is the basic skill tree. I mean, not basic, but this is how your combat system in Wukong works. You have your staff, right? And you have 3 styles. There might be a 4th because you use up, down, left, right on the D-pad, but down or up, up, left, right, but down is nothing. I'm sure there's going to be some that's down. But each one of those is a skill tree that you upgrade. And so that style, like there's one where you thrust, there's one where you stand on the pole, and then there's one where you just like do a heavy attack. And then beyond the staff, you have magic. And magic is like you can freeze people, you can turn into other people, and you can like make copies of yourself. You can turn into like this spectral form. So those are the 2 skill trees basically. And the not cool thing, but the thing that really puts it apart from Dark Souls for me is when you level up or any experience you get, if you die, you don't lose it. It's not like Souls where it's like you lose.
Your currency is your experience.
Yeah. So, but you keep it if you die. Like it's very forgiving. Yeah. So you'll die. You keep all your experience. You die again. You'll keep it. Like I already fought a couple hard bosses where I just kept dying until I went back and beat him. But there's no block, as far as I know yet.
I love it.
There's only dodge, and then light and heavy
Parry?
attack. Nope.
Okay.
You can like parry arrows shooting at you with a button. You like spin your staff, but that's it.
Does he make like monkey noises?
He does when you jump, and whenever you jump, it goes.
Is the combat silky smooth?
It's as silky smooth as like Bloodborne.
Okay.
Do you feel like that combat's pretty smooth?
Not at 30 frames, but
If it was at 60 frames?
yeah, 60 frames can forgive a lot. 30 frames Bloodborne, that was tough.
So it's like that. It is very similar to a Souls game, but also it isn't in that like it's less punishing and you don't really get to like level up your stats per se. You just when you level up your stats grow and then your armor is what affects your stats mainly, but otherwise you don't get to like put mind or body, whatever.
Interesting. I mean, I think it's popping off. It popped off for sure. I think a lot of people are calling it Game of the Year. I don't know what it has for competition. Astrobot?
Astrobot, ironically, is a pretty good contender right now.
Like we're coming into the end of the year. I mean,
what else
what
has come out this year?
There's a game I'm looking forward to, but you guys probably won't care for. It's called Phantasm. It's by the Persona people.
What is that game like?
Phantasm.
What is it?
It's like a turn-based, like, do you know Persona?
Yes.
It's Persona in a medieval fantasy type setting.
Shadow of the Earth Tree.
Shadow of the Earth Tree.
That's
But
kind of cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it. I know it might be a little too anime for you guys, but there's like dating sim. You can find your waifu or whatever, just
Yeah.
like Persona. That's my favorite part.
Hades 2 will not win. Did you guys play Hades 2 at all?
No.
Well, is it
Fun.
still only in early access, or did it get
It is.
official?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think
Okay.
it'll win because it is still in
Yeah.
early access. Helldivers could definitely win.
Yep.
Although they had a huge amount of controversy later.
'Cause
might
of
be
PSN.
interesting.
Persona 3, Reload, Prince of Persia.
Wasn't there a Final Fantasy early this year?
Wild Bastards, World of Warcraft, Black
Wukong.
Myth Wukong, Children of the Sun. Creatures,
Say it with your chest, Kyle.
Well, if you weren't
EA
scrolling
Sports.
super fast.
College football. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
That'll be nominated, but I don't think it'll win.
I feel like so I was a big fan of the first Final Fantasy VII, the remake.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people's sentiment towards it, at least from what I've seen on the internet and just taking from my personal, is it took too long that now like I uncommitted myself from the story and it's going to take a lot for me to get back into the story because they split the original game into like 3 games.
Yeah.
And so the first game came out and it's taken like 2-3 years for this next chapter to come out. And I tried to play it, but I was like,
And it doesn't hold up on its own.
yeah, I was like, I barely remember what happened.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the people, who have nostalgia. Shadow of the Earth Tree is definitely.
I don't know if, by principle though, I don't know if I'd want that to win Game of the Year because it's an expansion. It's not like if there is a category right for best expansion.
Yeah,
I mean,
Phantom Liberty.
obviously, I feel like that should win that, but like we're kind of losing what a game is if.
I also feel like it didn't do enough to iterate on Elden Ring. Like it was just more of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Like which is an awesome thing and people loved it. But to me, like Kyle said, like to win Game of the Year, I think you have to sort of transcend like maybe not something new, but just like kind of whoa, this is really cool. And like a DLC that didn't really change, create a bunch of new stuff from the base game. I don't know.
There's a bunch of controversy around, not controversy, but there's a lot of people upset because Souls fans are just like
the worst.
the worst, I swear. And I'm a
Have you
huge
met
Souls
Lord of the Rings
fan,
fans?
but
Or Spider-Man fans.
the community is super
about Spider-Man
pissed.
haters?
The community is super pissed because they nerfed Promise Consort Radon.
I saw.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Why'd they do that? That was like their.
because everyone was complaining about it. Everyone was bitching about it. This is not even. This is just ridiculous and not fun anymore. Blah, blah. And so they nerf it, and they're like, and now there's like all these people who's like, well, now that apparently the From Software just does whatever at the whims of whatever people want. And like, I'm like, is no one ever just happy just with what they got?
Well, and also they nerfed it like way later. So like real hardcore fans
Would have already fought and beat
have
him
already
in his
fought and
prime.
beat it. And like the people that are really fucking hardcore can go roll back to that patch
Yeah.
and play that patch if they really wanted to do so.
At this point,
that's kind of
in
weird.
the game
Well-
release, if you haven't beat Radon yet, Promise Consort Radon, then
You're
you
more of a
weren't,
casual
you're a
and you
casual
want it to be
player.
easier.
You're not.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I'll look it up here, but I think the nerf wasn't even that much. It was like they turned down the visual effects a little bit.
Oh, that's not a nerf at all.
Yeah,
that's
but-
that is if that's what they did.
I'll look up.
I think they
Yeah,
they
please look that up.
decreased the like
that
the-
to me is a
I
quality of
think
life
they
bump.
decreased like the damage
That he
output
does?
as well, though.
Okay.
But other than that, the repetition, the everything else is the same, like the speed and all that. But like the damage output, and I think some of the visual effects were toned down.
I mean, how many months are we removed from? I guess only like 4, huh?
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If I don't know how much like you would even see the differences.
Like if you
Like
went
if I
through-
went back and I played
Yeah.
it now, I
You'd still
might
struggle.
maybe have an easier time, but I wouldn't really know what to attribute that to.
yeah, you're still
Like I
gonna
would
struggle.
still, yeah,
That's people still bitch about the Radon thing.
yeah. The original, there's like this meme where it's like, like Radon was like on his knees, like, "What do you want from me?" Because he's like, "Radon's too hard, nerf him." Wow, this Radon sucks. Why can't you bring back the OG? Wow, this Radon's way too fucking hard. Nerf him. This Radon sucks. Bring him back to the OG. And Radon's just sitting there with like arrows on his back, and he's just like, "What do you want from me?"
So sad.
So from what I can find, just in my quick search here, it looks like they nerfed. So the light show, definitely they turned down like so that he doesn't flashbang you constantly, and then they nerfed.
But not damage wise. Just
They
the
did
visual
They did some damage wise. So they did.
to that attack, or
Yes. So well, not that attack. So
Just
it
in
just
general.
says some attacks decrease stamina damage of some attacks.
oh, so great shield method can
It
cheese
decreased the
dominate
attack
the
range.
board.
The second time I beat him with was with Rivers of Blood bleed.
Oh, you got his ass back.
Yeah, improve the visibility of some attacks, decrease the attack range of some non-weapon based attacks, change the action pattern when the battle starts. So
Change the action pattern. I got so used to that because having to do that over and over again. I'm gonna go in and be like, "What is this?"
I don't get this. I don't hate any of that. I think for me, if I were to knowing nothing about the game, I mean, because I never even got to this boss, but knowing nothing about it, I would have probably the only thing I would have adjusted is maybe the scaling. So it's like, hey, we're rolling it back to where like if you fought it at a 10, it's now going to be equivalent as if you fought it at a 7. You know, blessing.
I don't even think
so that you could still get the original experience if you wanted that to restrict yourself. You know?
having
I don't know.
actually played him and beat him twice on original patch. I don't think that they, to me, when you're actually in the moment and playing, those visual effects didn't really bother me. It's different when you're observing it. It's like it's weird to explain, but when you're in the moment, you see things differently as you're playing. So that honestly, that never really bugged me. The only thing that I think they could have kept the fight the exact same. The only thing I would have liked them to have patched is to put the summon signs inside the arena instead of outside.
So, you
So
can have-
that he's not scaled with the summons as if they were like actual players, because those summons don't do anything to like really help in the fight, and so by bringing them in, it makes the fight way harder. But then you're missing out like on cool lore stuff by not having them in the fight.
and they die, and you're left with this guy with a huge health
Yeah.
pool.
And so for me, it would have been better if those summons were inside the arena and he wasn't scaled as if those were, actual players. And then that would have also solved the he's too hard problem, because then you have those summons to help you against base, level Radon. I think that would have been better. Not that I care either way. I'm satisfied with, the game, but
All I can say is I beat pre-nerf Radon, and it's recorded
it's true.
It is. Both ears is.
to an hour and a half long.
Yeah, you can hear me
You're
like
about to give up. You're like, I got to get more blessing. One more try. I got to get more blessing. One more try. And then you just got it.
Did you say that? Were you saying I got to get more blessing?
He
or-
said it multiple times. Yeah. And he was like, I think I need to go back and get more.
If I'd have
blessing."
titled it,
You only had
anything
like
different,
14 or 17, or how much did you
I
have?
was at 16 or
16?
17.
Yeah.
You ended up being at 18.
I did?
Yeah, because I remember you said I went 2 more. Like I think I could do this now. And you
That's
said
right.
you remember feeling like it was actually like easier just from
Mhm.
2 blessings. Had I have titled it anything different besides "This stream doesn't stop until Dylan wins," do you think you would have, or did that add a fire to you?
It kind of added a fire. But like,
I don't think it went on that long though.
No, well,
In reality, it was a couple hours, but
Yeah.
Well, you're not counting all the hours
that he had
before-
already put in. That's
He had already
that's
put in
true.
like
That's
almost
true.
200 attempts by the time.
That
and
is
it's like,
true.
I would say by the time I actually beat him, I was starting to like, I was like, oh my god, you know, I was like, oh god,
smashing your head. Into
Yeah.
the-
Not only.
not only.
Okay, so I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
So Throne and Liberty, that game that I beta tested a few months ago now.
What is it?
What?
Throne and Liberty.
Oh, I thought I said thrown in levity.
Throne and Liberty. It's a new Korean MMO style game published by NCSoft. It came out in the US, I think, like this week or something like that. Has kind of been making its rounds in terms of like, oh, this game is poorly designed for like microtransactions and all the usual bullshit that people really hate and just loathe about modern games, but is forever a part of modern games anymore.
Right.
But I saw this discussion online today about all the cool tech that they had in this game. And I remember when I beta tested it, one of the coolest things that took me away was the world is massive in this game, and they only gave us access to like the first portion of it. But even that first portion, it was a big world, and it was all one world. It wasn't like you went from zone to zone to zone and things like that. It was all one continuous area. And one of the things that I thought was it's almost like Diablo 4. If you guys remember how that was, like you could run from area to area, and you kind of just loaded seamlessly into different zones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't as well disguised. But they have this system in that game called just fast travel. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that
No,
before.
it's wild. What is this?
What's fast travel?
What is it?
concept?
Well, I'm so glad you asked.
This is why
Billy
we're
Mays
talking
here.
about this.
Billy Mays?
It's seamless. So the character does a little animation. So there is loading that is occurring in the background. But they do like a little animation, and it warps you to like you could fast travel to like the main city, and you could just drop right into like the main square where people are, and it's completely seamless. No loading screens, and then you can go back right to where you were. I'm pretty sure that I might be mixing up games. It's been a few months since I played it, but pretty sure you can like kind of go vice versa where you just came from. But it's like it warps you from one place to another, completely seamless. So I know that we've kind of seen some other similar tech in other games there, but I'm just curious, other than graphical fidelity in video games,
Yeah.
what do you think is like the next really cool like technological thing that can happen where it like really almost sells you on a game? Because I was thinking back to when we were younger, we were talking about Battlefield 3 in Discord earlier this week about like how much of a revelation that game was, because it was you went from playing like Call of Duties and these other games, stuff like that, to this massive Battlefield where there was like, what was it, 75 versus 75 at the time or something?
On consoles, even smaller. Honestly, it was like 30v30
But still, the
But,
scale of that is insane.
compared to a 5v5 or
Call of Duty. So it was just, it felt like everything kind of juiced on steroids. And just as a gamer, which we were super young at the time, we were like, whoa. Like you felt that like
The maps were big.
something had been innovated to allow for
buildings
something
could
like
crumble.
that. Yeah,
You know,
the
like-
Frostbite engine, right, had all the ability to, what do they call that? Destructive
I
environments,
could
right?
fly in this jet without a kill streak. You just pick one up.
That's so true.
What?
You actually fly the jet, you know?
Yeah.
It just felt like a leap forward. You couldn't put your finger on, like, it was just like everything was bigger and better. And I think we've seen that like juiced to steroids with like battle royales. So, but that jump seemed even less, right?
Yeah.
It just seems like it's staving off. So my question to you guys is like, what do you see in the future? like as a technological like barrier to entry, that there's certain games that might not be able to make, or certain things that we cannot do because we don't have the technology. And when that does happen, everyone will be like, holy shit, this is actually really, really sick. Because I don't know if there's that
hard
many
to
things
say.
left.
Yeah, I mean, so much of gaming now is getting to a point where it's like been there, done that. It's like, how are we going to modify what's already been created? So I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said about the speed at which something loads. I mean, when you go and play, like, the only game I've ever seen that really utilizes like PlayStation's like SSD is probably the Spider-Man games. It's completely seamless. There's like no real loading in that game. You know, you could turn on your console, jump in the game, and be playing all within, I'm not even joking, like 5 seconds. Other games have not taken
From turning cold on to playing the game
if it's
5
in,
seconds.
if it's in sleep mode. If your
Wow.
console's in PlayStation, it's sleep mode. You could turn it on, play the game, and I kid you not, it's literally like 5 seconds,
Wow.
and you could be fully playing.
That's amazing.
That's the only game in PlayStation's library that I've seen actually take advantage of that. That well.
Because I mean, we have the first one that I could think that used the SSD really well was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart,
That
With
one
the
was
whole
really
Rift,
seamless as well.
where you
Yeah.
pull and you're in another map. I mean, everybody makes fun of it. God of War, they use the like, let me go through this skinny column.
That's the
to
that's-
Uncharted
load the
way.
Yeah.
next area.
Yeah.
Or the door opening on Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And you're really just loading you're loading the next area.
And then, but like Spider-Man, the fast travel, especially in 2, it just zooms in and you're there. Like you go to the map, you click, I want right here, and it goes.
And the map literally just drops in and your character's there. It's crazy.
It's
Well, so that's what we have now. So like in the future though, like what do you think?
Well, that's what I would like to see.
Can that get better? Or,
I think it's not that can get better. I think that it could become more common for sure.
like no loading screens.
Yeah, imagine if they're able to figure out a way to implement that in like a multiplayer game.
well, Throne and Liberty. That's a massive multiplayer online, and
Imagine
it's
that
crazy.
like a battle royale, even. Not that battle royales are. I mean, they're kind of slowly dying off. But like, just as an example, you're playing like an online shooter. You click and you're just and you're in and you're going. Like, I think that could be utilized. I don't know if that's the next big thing. I'm just saying that is really nice though.
Yeah.
When you become it makes it to where when you go back and you play like an older game or something, and you're like sitting through a loading screen and you're like, this just feels ancient. Why am I waiting to play this?
So you're saying like, let's say Call of Duty Black Ops 17, whatever the
20.
fuck we're on. If they had from the menu, you could choose Team Deathmatch because that's seemingly they'll always have that one. You click X, you're already match made, and you just get launched right into the battlefield. Like that would be enough for you to buy the game.
No. So I don't know.
So I'm talking like something
I don't know
that is
what
like
is,
revolutionary. I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know how many more whoa moments. I was thinking more along the lines of
So
this is. Oh, go ahead. If you want to cut me off.
ass.
Hole.
Big asshole.
Enormous.
Harry?
Gigantic.
Harry
Arrogant.
Gaping.
gaping. There we go. No, I had an idea.
Hit me.
So
After all that build up, I had an idea.
I had an idea. So this would take a lot to pull off, but like you're asking us to fantasize, right? To imagine
Skyrim, but with car.
No.
Skyrim.
So imagine multiplayer shooter war game, but
No fucking way.
Yeah,
in space.
Multiplayer
Hold on.
Shooter war
you
game?
can get in a jet without a kill streak.
Oh my god.
30v30. No. What if it's like a constant war?
Like
And
it's actually
so-
just happening all the time.
And so you drop in,
Like you choose your faction,
and
and then you're forever that faction or whatever.
then you just drop in whenever you log in, and there's a current like fight for this certain front, and it's like Maybe
kind
that.
of like an MMO.
I was
but-
gonna say some MMOs like so. Guild Wars 2 has this game mode. I know World of Warcraft has a game mode called World v World v World, where it's 3 servers pitted against each other for a week,
Yeah.
and you're constantly capturing territories, and then your points are totaled for the week.
See, so I would say, and I know like
But you only get like 70 persons per server, and there's 4 maps. 70 person per map on that.
So like an
per
open world, like the size of like the United States, something crazy.
it's
I
like
don't know
2
about
million
that big.
players. 2
But-
million players online on one fucking map.
I know like Battlefield, right? They do have the active war, but how that works is it's different games, right? Like it's still a match. It's a timed match, and you load into that. But I'm talking this would be like continuous.
In order for that to be interesting, the world would have to be huge.
It
though.
would.
It would
Yes.
have to be massive.
So I've thought about this a lot. And the problem is, how do you build an identity with your server? Like, is the game only that?
Like, is
it's
it
that
real
mode?
life?
Because
Like, do people rise up the ranks and become like generals and shit? Like,
well, exactly.
Maybe.
Like exactly. Like, how do you build a server identity? Because like in Guild Wars 2, this was a problem originally. Was like people just sort of played for a server, and if your server sucked, then your server was sort of doomed forever. And like the elite servers kind of separated themselves to the pack, and they had this whole leader, like they had this whole matchmaking system, so only the best were playing the best. So it leveled out fine. But like how if that's only part of your game, how do you as a player get involved? Like if it's red versus blue, right?
So-
how do you fall in love with red and you bleed red and like that's your team?
I'm not sure of, but what you were saying, we'll go back to that. But real quick, I want to touch on the whole where you move up and you're actually general. I think that could work. Like you have
Like
somebody,
a public ranking.
they get assigned to servers, and you kind of build your way up the servers, and then the servers are filled with.
there would have to be a shit ton of people that would be able to attain that rank. Like,
And then they can still participate, but also they're the ones telling you this is the point we're going after right now. They're the only ones who can like mission.
And if they
objectives
lose,
and
they get
things.
demoted. So it's constantly.
Yeah.
I just sense a huge like power struggle there.
It'd
Like, I
be-
feel like that would be difficult.
So like
to-
a super online game.
Yeah.
Where like you get into a lobby where you're preparing for war, and a commander is like, "All right, you guys are gonna go left. You're gonna have this equipment, like super preparation.
Like it'd be crazy.
you have to go through like a boot camp before they
dude.
release you into the.
You gotta go. It's the Helldivers training.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
an actual like thing where like it takes like 30 hours of training in the game to actually.
Hello, soldiers. Like the role play is gonna be so hardcore. This is your lieutenant speaking.
I feel like an only way for that to really be successful is to have a ton of people playing it. Like, you just wouldn't be able to make a game like that if it was like a niche thing. It
If
would have
you-
to have so many people
If
playing.
you put
Go ahead.
Keanu Reeves in it.
Oh God. I actually think there's a way to accomplish it, but it's not. It's a
Okay,
it's a
okay.
version of what you're saying. I hear you. It's a version of that where instead of on the individual, where you have like a guy ranking up, I think you would have to implement some sort of guild system that would like instead of
Call
like
it Guild Wars.
yeah, there you go. Some kind of like guild system where you could be like you got your faction that you're part of, red team, blue team, whatever that's called. And then you've got divisions within that. And like you've got servers that can then gain acclaim and rankings within that can then bid on assignments for this global war that's going on.
Yeah.
So maybe there's like it's like every 6 hours, like the main event happens or some shit. I don't know or whatever. But like there's sub events that like your guild is gonna bid that at 9:00 tonight you're gonna be in that raid position or whatever, and you're going to handle this contract. And that contract puts you on this world, and you're up against the forces from the blue team, and you have that conflict. And if you win, then you guys gain more acclaim as a guild or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you can bid on bigger
There'd have to be
contracts.
rewards for,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, I don't know what that would be, but there'd be something. You'd have to have an extremely active dev team, too. Like, they would have to
Yeah.
be so involved with their game in order for that to work. You know, they actually had a game like this that came out like over 10 years ago.
You talking about the one that's linked to the TV show?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. There was actually
War?
a game. It was called Mag.
Mag.
Yeah.
I remember it was
And it was
120.
it was 300 people.
Jesus.
And it was 3 factions, and you could join the faction. And once you were in that faction, you were locked in. And it actually did all of these exact things that we're talking about, but it never quite got a following, and it was too demanding for they couldn't. So the servers got shut down like a year after it launched. This was like 20. I don't know, like
It was like PS3.
it was PS3 era. So this was like literally
Wow,
like
that's way
2011,
before its time.
2012.
That's way before. Some
Um,
people didn't even have headsets.
Yeah, so they made a lot of compromises in order to, like graphics were
Shocked
not
they were
great.
able to pull that off. That's
Graphics
amazing.
were not great. It ran at like 30 frames. It had clunky animation just because they had to, on that hardware, it was difficult to do this. But they did it pretty well. And I remember playing it and having a lot of fun. I played it for like about a month before I ended up moving on to other things. But it did almost all of these things that we're talking about. Maybe not like quite as grand as what we're talking about here, but that was the idea.
Well, we're talking about is like you would need a mass scale invasion, right? And like you would need a substantial player base to sort of support this. And
There would have to be random world events too, where like once a season, the 3 factions would have to team up for the common good.
yeah,
or something,
like
you know?
there's some nuclear power plant that's like faltering, right, or under attack, and if you seize control of it, you gain more plutonium to power up more ships, and you have more
Godzilla
war score
attacks, you
kind
gotta
of thing.
fuck
Yeah.
Godzilla
Oh
up.
God, Jesus.
Oh god, there would have to be like city building too. Like each faction would have its own like
But
home
like,
base.
what would the number be? Like, if all this happens. Let's say if it was for 300 players in this continuous fight, would that be interesting enough, or does it need to be like 200,000 Helldivers?
I think anywhere from 100 to 300 is perfectly acceptable if done well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it needs to be any more than that in an instance. Um,
I could see there being like if you went the guild route, that could be really sick. Where like if you only had like 2 or 3 people, you can go and take on these lower man missions. But then if you built up your guild and like maybe you could combine with different teams and stuff, then you got to the 10 or 12 missions, and then you got like the mega army infantry. Like you're just part of a fucking hive, and
Yeah.
you're just going in like it's hundreds of people
You're ants.
attacking. What is the combat? What are you envisioning for the combat? Is it
I was
like
thinking like Battlefield type.
okay, so on the ground stuff? Like, are you thinking of like one world or like massive scale multi-planetary type thing?
I was thinking more like World War II
era.
era.
Okay, so
like
then
I
that-
mean,
I almost would prefer instead of a first-person shooter, a third-person shooter, because that would allow more freedom for different roles.
Yeah.
and different
you
things
could
like
be medic. You could be
medics, pilots.
Engineer.
Engineer. Like I feel like there'd be. It's easier to do something like that. I think that would be better as a third-person game.
well. And see, the main thing that made me think of this idea was how you were saying like, how could we like just dropping into Spider-Man? Now, how could you implement that into a multiplayer? And I was like, this imaginary game in my mind would solve that because there would always be a game going. So when you're matchmaking, it's not even trying to put together a game. You're just joining an in progress game that's always in it's like
Yeah, I could
continuous.
see like certain game modes just 24/7.
Yeah.
And then other ones that are sectioned off for specific
Like
reasons.
Spec Ops.
Things, like for like you were saying, like how certain guilds would like get
Take a
Take a
contracts,
contract for a certain time.
I can see
whatever.
that, but then on top of that, I could see like 24/7 deathmatch zones. You know what I mean?
And so you just get plopped in it. You hit play. It goes, okay.
And that would be what you do if you were grinding.
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
like level up.
Or
and
if you
stuff,
just wanted
know?
to passively play, you just load into like the
Yeah.
continuous fight, and you just kind of you're playing that casually. That's effectively what people do in World v World and Guild Wars 2. And like certain guilds have the different rankings. One of the things that I think, in my opinion, Guild Wars 2 struggles with is like I said, they're weekly fights and they're just 24/7. And at the end of the week, it just sort of ends, and then the next fight begins. I don't feel like the rewards are really You don't get anything for like if your team wins. You just move higher up in the matchmaking process. Is that enough of a reward if you're
I think you'd probably need like cool cosmetics or cool.
like if your team wins, you're on the red team and you guys win that whatever
Maybe you
time
get
segment that
yeah,
is.
maybe so like to your point of the nuclear, you win, you get more plutonium. Maybe if your team wins, therefore you get like a slightly better tank.
See, and that's okay.
But
that's interesting.
You need to be careful with that because
it can spiral out of control.
can spiral to like, we are so much better
Yeah.
than you.
I think I almost feel like I would lean a little bit away from specifically getting better gear through things like that and more like just prestige based things
like skins.
skins, medals, like stuff that you like if you saw somebody you'd be like, oh shit, he was on the winning team during that event. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's kind of cool.
yeah.
Well, one of the things I think Guilders does really well actually is every 90 minutes they call it skirmishes and it resets the skirmish. So the scores get reset to 0. So like you don't have to like it makes it feel like you don't join on a Thursday. The fight's been going on for 6 days
you're
already,
losing.
and you're losing by 1,000,000 points. There's no chance coming back. Well, your incentive is to not play is irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
Versus this 90-minute skirmish,
Yeah.
you feel like you can impact that skirmish. Whatever you and your team, you have an impact during that time, and can gain points or whatever. That
That would
Somehow.
actually be great.
yeah.
Shoot, guys. We're working it out.
Let's do it.
Let's do it,
Right now, here we go.
What would you picture as like the time period or the third person, first
Oh,
person?
dude, I was going fucking Star Citizen level crazy, like
Helldivers.
fleets and like your contract for your guild would be to like capture a planet, like huge scale shit. That's where my mind was going. Yeah.
I almost feel like if you wanted to keep it like on Earth, that only way for it to make sense lore wise and gameplay wise would be if it was like some kind of post apocalypse.
Yeah,
Like
you could.
there was a nuclear war and society restarted, and now they've advanced to a point where like it's they have 3 basically strong militaries controlling the planet.
Yeah, you couldn't do World War II because people would be like, "Yeah, I'm a Nazi."
Yeah, I'm joining the Nazi faction.
Well, I'm almost like taking it even like so grandiose where
Yeah.
you have like, because obviously what we're talking about is very PvP centric, right? You're playing against other players.
Aren't you
But
surprised?
there's a whole PvE mode where like the people who don't like PvP can still have a role in this war. Like let's say the top guilds in the game get to decide for that week what the tax rate is. And so like of all the materials that is harvested in the PvE world on that server that week, 20% they set it at of the materials go to fund the war effort, right? And they can play with that. They can say, you know what, we're going to make it 30% because we really are falling behind. We need to pump this up. And then, then you can get some of the PvE players going like, fuck, I don't want to do all this work and I'm not getting it. And so there's this like political game going on, or the PvE players can go and like gain influence and stuff like that, which then maybe gives you better intel.
So what are the PvE players doing?
Well, they participate into the world, like from like a war supply. Like I'm not thinking of a
So are
shooter.
they, like,
I'm not
in-
thinking of a shooter.
I know. So are they in the Iron Factory?
No, like in the open world, like gathering.
So like Minecraft.
I don't know.
Like I'm trying to imagine.
I don't know if I would gathering equals Minecraft.
But like, do you mean like that kind?
Conan Exiles.
Yeah.
like gathering in the sense of like Elden Ring, where you walk up and press a button and then you have the material. Kind of
But
thing.
like, are they killing monsters or?
Yes. So
Okay.
they're going through and they're playing the game. They're just you have this whole like you actually have a game, right? And they're playing the game. They're accomplishing story missions, doing events, things like that. And then there's like some weird tax effort that then you pay to. That's your taxes that go towards the war effort, which is this continuous war. And so like the more involvement, the more your PvE players can push that, you have more supplies. You could do more from this war effort. I just imagine this like whole cohesive big picture world where the players in the game get to control a lot of this stuff. So like one week, maybe it's like a double rewards week or whatever. So they drop the tax rate to 5% or some shit. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But it's like there's no developer that pushes this on there. It's just completely. What game are we talking about, Daniel? Daniel, we're making up our own game. We're completely.
We're not talking about anything real right now.
The question that I posed to catch you up. The question that I posed is, what is the? I don't even know how we got here, but what is the next technological breakthrough that we can make from a gaming standpoint that makes you go, when you see it in a game, you go, oh my God, I have to try that. I have to play that. We talked about examples that we've seen throughout our lives where it's like, oh shit, that you kind of blew your mind that was even available or even existed. Well, now we're talking about like, what would you want to see iterated in a game? And we're talking, Jesus Christ. The fuck is your name?
Dylan.
Fuck. Dylan brought up that he wants this extremely large scale continuous war game that like you pop in, you play, and you're going against each other. Now we're just sort of designing the game. Yeah. We're just totally designing the game. So
yeah, because like we were trying to talk about. Kyle brought up that Kyle or Billy brought up that, you know, would the next innovation be like no wait time to play a multiplayer game? And so I was thinking, well, one way you could solve that is a continuous battlefield to where you log in and there's already a game going, you just jump in. And it's not like, and then he brought up the whole, how Guild Wars does like the 60-minute skirmishes.
90-minute skirmishes.
90-minute.
And
so that way,
long battles. Yeah.
You don't feel like you're
ever falling
too far behind. So,
and to move back into like Dylan's concept, in order for there to be like a PvE aspect to it, there would have to be some kind of common enemy or something. Like, so if this was like a constant war, like what if the post-apocalypse
Alliance versus Horde?
Like what if the post-apocalypse was like after an alien invasion? And so like, you know, there's still the aliens, you won the fight. They won the war with the aliens, but there's still like millions of them on Earth that were left behind.
And you could choose the human race or the alien race.
Yeah, or
That's
something
the
like
faction breakdown.
that. But like there has to be some way to make that a PvE thing.
yeah.
And
Yeah, so like the enemy type, if you're an alien, is humans running through your fields.
And then if you're a human, it's aliens.
The aliens running through your fields. Because imagine just slaughtering humans.
So what I'm hearing, we take the universe of Mass Effect.
Oh, God.
And we...
Just a fucking Reaper walking through a grassland.
I want to join the Reaper faction. You're farming for supplies as a husk.
Great.
I don't know, like we got ripped, we riffed way off that. I'm not even sure that this game can't be made right now.
It could.
I don't think there's anything technological.
What can't, though?
It, like you were saying,
I
it
have
would
an
require
idea
a
of what can't.
huge player base, like and a consistent player. Like in order for it to work and to take off, it would need a lot of investment off the bat.
Yeah.
Because if you have a continuous war going and there's only like 3 people playing,
It hurts your feelings.
yeah.
So Daniel brings up crafting your own base with your own vehicle, like good gear. You can keep upgrading and stuff like that. Well, that's what we were talking about maybe with like the guild system. Is like people can pitch in resources, which is effectively what happens now in World v World in Guild Wars. People like can pitch in resources and buy certain things and upgrade to make it better and stronger. And so like then you go into battle with that upgraded weaponry. Yeah.
You could do...
Sounds pretty fun.
That's part of the PvE too, is maybe the crafting and the vehicle.
Yeah.
And like you can PvE all the resources to upgrade your house and upgrade, but it's a little bit more grindy. You know, there's the risk versus reward of if I go to PvP, I can get these resources really fast.
Permadeath.
Permadeath?
Like a hardcore server.
Can you imagine like a hardcore version of this game? Permadeath.
There's one dude left in the battle after the whole week, and he's just fucking dusty and bloody. Like, I survived.
I've been playing for 72 hours straight.
I am the lord
I've been playing since launch. I have not caught up. I am unbeatable.
My name is Maximus Aurelius.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridian.
I shit myself constantly.
It's the price I pay to win.
That could be really cool, and I feel like it's social enough to really get like, I don't know, MMO grinders to play the game. I still think you need like a really solid core base game to drive people into that game mode. So you wouldn't want to slack on that. But so it'd be interesting to see how that whole thing is divided. Maybe it's not. Maybe like the core PvE can happen within this continuous war. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're part of. Like, you guys remember... sorry, I just want to add one last color. Yeah. You guys remember Diablo 4, where they had, like, the PvP zones? So you had, like, the map, right? But then when you walked into one, it was like, okay, now PvP's turned on.
Yeah.
Maybe you have something similar to like that. Like, you've got neutral zones where you could play the game and just have fun and do, like, little events and stuff like that. And then you could also do events in the other area, but then there's PvP. I don't know. I don't know how that whole thing could fade together. But anyway.
We need to add big titty anime girls.
Oh, 100%.
And we
Stellar
got-
Blade all day long.
We got all the fucking players we
Yep.
need.
Yep.
Gotcha, especially gotcha
Yep.
with pools.
And a
We
card
just-
game
And
needs to be in there.
yes,
as well.
Some card mini game.
Yeah,
Named-
some card mini game.
name Gwent.
And we just ruined our game.
We've made a couple missteps a while back, I think, but
Okay, here's my concept.
Okay, your idea.
And I don't know. Have
What
you,
better-
have you
what-
thought of
it
one
better
yet?
blow my mind.
Hold on.
That's all I'm going to say.
What
not
should we
really.
name my concept?
Dylan's favorite game.
That's
Dylan's
not
favorite game. Dylan's better than Mass Effect idea.
better than no. It's not better than Mass Effect.
Well, then it's not answering the question.
I want to call it War.
War.
Wow.
That's so original.
Revolutionary. Sir, you got a
What
$1
is
million
it
on-
good for?
It's not any more unoriginal than like Mag.
Mag.
You know what I mean?
Let's pitch it to Sony and see if they'll blow $400 million
Sony was
on
the
this.
one that did Mag, actually.
They might. It's so crazy. It just.
Three guys who have
It's so
never
crazy.
made a game ever.
Just my. Let's learn from the Quentin Tarantino skill set of pitching an idea.
Yeah, we have an
Sony.
extremely successful podcast. You might want to.
We have an idea for a game. Only stipulation is you let us design it, but with your skill sets. We just tell you exactly what
We tell you
want.
what we want, and you make it happen.
We won't tell you
You
any
son
of
of
it.
a bitch, I'm in.
What a fucking pitch.
What a guy.
How much money do you need? No, you know what? Just write
Blank
the number.
check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You fill it in. I don't want to know how much.
It's already signed.
$1
fun.
billion. $100 million each just for us, to own it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my game. Not okay. It's not a game. It's a concept, right? Because the question is, what needs to be invented? Way to go, James. I don't know your name anymore.
That's such
What?
like that joke would take a lot of following to get what
you had to be watching since the beginning. So the question, to reiterate, the question is, what technological advancement in a game would you see if you saw would make you automatically buy the game? And I think that this could be a really cool concept. Again, I'm like a one game forever. I'm a forever game kind of guy. Okay, so I love live service, done right. My favorite game would be, what the fuck? No, the technological advancement that would
This
make me want
pitch
to buy
is
a game.
failing.
I know, right? I'm sorry. Is I want to see a game where I could play it on my computer, and then if I have to get up and go somewhere, I can play it on as a mobile app on my phone. Seamless experience. Like log in on my phone, and my entire experience transfers
That
onto.
exists.
Hold on, I'm getting there. Transfers onto my phone, and I can have a comparable experience. Maybe I can't do all the full gameplay or something like that, but the mobile app is optimized well enough to provide me a sufficient experience. Maybe I can't do like high level raids or shit like that, but I can still play the game, socialize in the game, buy and sell from trading posts and auction houses and things like that, check achievements, do some collection stuff, whatever it is that I want to still do. I could do the more casual content in the game. If I need to go offline, it has an offline mode where I can then turn it into offline. Like, let's say I'm jumping on a plane. I could still play the game in an offline mode, do whatever achievements I can. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to do like PvP stuff achievements or whatever. Some offline, but I could go and do and progress in the game in some manner. And then when I came back online, there was some syncing that said, "Okay, yeah, you did this stuff on offline, and you're back in the game, and you're up and running."
Like you still grind levels and stuff.
Yeah.
and collect things and
And it was like sort of a seamless, very, very deep game. Like it wasn't some shitty, mobile game that you could also play on your PC. That
Last
also,
War Survival. You seen those ads?
Clash
the
of
guy
Clans.
shooting the
Oh yeah,
the things or whatever.
Anthony Starr.
Yeah, Anthony Starr all of a sudden is like a spokesperson. Is that AI or is that really him?
That's really him.
How? How much money did they pay this guy to do this? Anyways.
if I saw a game that could do that, where I could play regardless of the device, and I always have access to the game and the information in the game to play the game, that would be kind of a cool thing. Where I would, if I saw that,
So-
and went, "Oh, cool! I would play that."
A version of that already exists. Zenless Zone Zero, like the game I've been
It's too
playing.
many Z's. I'm sleeping.
The ZZZ. Yeah.
Zenless Zone Zero.
The anime gotcha game I've been playing.
Oh,
So
see.
it doesn't have the offline aspect you're talking of, but you can play. I play on my PS5. I can play on my phone, or I can play on my computer. My account goes between all three, so I could log off my PS5, pick it up on my phone. Like say I'm on vacation and want to get in some Zenless Zone Zero, I could just, and the controls, it's pretty well integrated on the phone as far as controls go. Of course, the controls are the best, but yeah, it exists in some form, not fully fleshed out as what you were saying, but we're getting there, I think.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that to me would be like, if I saw that, I'd be like, whoa, that's really cool. And I think a lot of games, we talked about this many times before. I think a lot of games are being optimized for all three platforms, right? PC, console, mobile. And so I think we are trending towards that direction. But I always see them tied to some online service. And so, like,
Yeah.
I think about...
Which is funny with Zenless Zone Zero because
you don't
right
necessarily
now,
need it.
huh?
You don't need to be online.
Yeah, currently there is no like PvP, so it's all PvE.
You just need the random number generator from their online servers.
and that's
for their
why
gotchas.
you have to be online,
Nice.
so you
Lame.
can't glitch it.
Well, to be honest, too, like, I don't know. I saw United Airlines, I think I saw. They're starting to, like, by the end of this year, some shit like that. They signed some partnership with SpaceX to do Starlink.
Interesting.
So you're going to have access to high-speed, low-latency internet while on flights.
Wow.
So maybe...
You know what I just found out? That in Europe, you don't need to put your phone into airplane mode to fly because all their phones are broadcasted at a different frequency than they are in the
you know what I
US.
learned too?
You know that's not required by the FAA anymore, right?
It's because it's still close. They could still, like, the airline can still choose to enforce, like, say it though. But because in the US, the frequencies that their phone lines
Too
lines
similar.
operate are just close enough to where it would take like literally everyone on the plane like doing
Attacking.
something for it even to affect it a little bit, but still as a precaution they say you can't. In Europe, all the phone lines operate at like enough away from it to where it wouldn't affect anything at all.
Interesting.
I think I'll have to ask them because I'm going to see them. I know a person that went like they're training to become a pilot, and they were telling me that in America it doesn't matter either. Like
Yeah.
you could be like
I think it's so insignificant that it wouldn't really affect anything. But like it's not
I
it's-
still put it in airplane mode, but for a different reason. I don't want my phone constantly looking for service up there and killing my
Well,
battery.
I guess he was explaining. I'll get more clarification. The reason he said why they still ask that is because each time your phone connects to a different cell tower, it charges the phone company or something, and so
You're just blasting.
you're just
across.
blasting across multiple, and the phone company like says,
They're doing a favor to the phone companies.
yeah, well, or like somehow, yeah.
Huh. That seems so weird.
But even if it's not required, the airlines are still within their rights to say whatever they want.
Yeah, I don't
That's so
I
sad.
can't even tell you the last time I've heard them announce, please put your devices in airplane mode.
They did the last time I was on a plane. Just
I don't.
like,
I feel like I haven't heard when I flew to Miami this summer.
I don't think
feel
you're
like
listening then because they still ask.
that's very might be very true. What airline did you fly?
American. The last
What-
couple times I flew have been on
You s-
American, and they still ask on American.
still ask.
Yeah.
What was the you said they still ask for you?
Yeah, I was on. One was Spirit, the other was Southwest.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because I had read that like the FAA had dropped that requirement, and I feel like I haven't heard them explicitly. I fly mainly Southwest, but interesting.
So, have you come up with an idea, Kyle? Were you done with your idea, Billy?
Yeah, just a game where it's like a totally seamless experience no matter what I'm doing. But I think let me conclude on that thought. The Starlink having high-speed internet on a plane, I mean, and pretty much virtually around the rest of the world. That's pretty fucking cool, huh?
Imagine
Yeah.
you have no internet, and then you specifically buy airplane tickets so that you can like download stuff and like play video games and
It's like somehow cheaper.
like,
like you hit your
some-
data limit from
some
your
guys like doing the math, and he's like, so it's cheaper if he does it strategically.
He buys the day Wi-Fi from the plane, goes through security with his ticket, gets to the gate, downloads the thing, not on the plane yet, and then cancels his ticket at the thing, pays the late fee of
I'm
the
min
fee.
maxing.
Sigma.
Sigma.
Have you could come up with a technological
I would
advancement?
need more time to think about this.
Okay.
Can't just throw life-changing questions on me like that.
Why not?
It's tough.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Because I think about things before I say it. Not really, but that's the excuse I'm using.
Wow. That was a burn to me and you, Billy.
Yeah.
No, he thought about this because this is his question. You're the one that was just wild. All right. Just
Wild
did
and out.
took us down a tangent. That was worth it. Yeah, I got a fist bump today.
Yeah.
What about from you? Thank you. I needed that in my life. Appreciate it. Starlink, man, fucking that stuff is so cool. Be in the middle of nowhere, the 100 megabytes.
It's not even that good anymore.
Yeah, but like going from dial-up in some places in the Midwest that still have to deal with shit like that.
I remember when 15 was pitched as fast. 15 gigs.
15. What?
Megabits, not gigs.
Oh, I was like, wow, 15. I'm like,
I'm
I can't
running
have that.
20 gigs.
Like, why? Like, you'd have to upgrade wiring in your house to
Yeah,
go
like-
that fast.
No, 15. I remember when 15 megabits was pitched as fast. Like,
Yeah, I think we went
When
from
we were
5 to
young.
15. We had 15 only for like a year or two, and then they came out with 100. And
they
that
went to
jump was
to
like,
50.
What?
They went to 30, then 50, then 100. But it was really rapid.
Yeah, I think we didn't do the 30. I think we went right to 100. I don't know if we did that jump because we bought the bigger service, whatever. Because I remember we went from 15, and even that had felt fast. Because before that, it was like Jesus 5 or 2 or something ridiculous. And I remember it took me like 2 days to download the original Guild Wars game. It's like, it's going. Look, it's like 150 kilobytes.
I remember even when I was a teenager. So this is like, I don't know, when Battlefield 3 came out, I would have been like 16. So I was like 16. I remember the rate at which things downloaded at my house. It was the equivalent of like 1 minute per gigabyte. I kid you not. So like a 40 gig thing would be 40 minutes. And it was, and then like 100, and that was like fast.
I was gonna say
Yeah, I
that's
was gonna
pretty
say
fast.
Yeah.
Not
I feel
anymore.
like I remember it taking like if it was a game. I remember
No,
like
no,
a
not
full
gigabyte.
day.
Not gigabyte,
Megabyte?
megabyte.
I
Sorry.
was gonna say I'm like 1 gig per minute.
It was
like, even
it was
today is
it was
pretty
1
decent.
minute per megabyte. Because and the reason I found out is because there was a 40 megabyte video on PlayStation 3 that I downloaded
a video.
of just Battlefield 3. I wanted to download the trailer for whatever reason, and it took me 40 minutes to download a 40 megabyte video.
Holy
Huh.
shit! And we had a
And I was playing
God.
online in those days with that internet,
That's
and it seemed to run okay. I don't remember ever there being any real problems.
It's unbelievable. No, I mean we always had decent internet, and like the cool thing is I always played hardlined in. So like when I was a PC gamer as a kid, obviously you're hardlined in. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't have it was right at the router.
Yeah.
And then when I was older, I guess in college, I had Wi-Fi upstairs, which was literally the furthest point from the house. But for some
the router?
reason, yeah, through like 18 walls. For some reason, I still had phenomenal. Dude, I know. I actually did the math. I did like Pythagoras theorem, calculated the actual distance. I measured everything. I was geeking out about it. Figured it was out. It was like I don't even remember the feet. It was like 117 feet or some shit, I think, because it was literally the two corners of the house, and I was upstairs. And I still was able to get like 5G or 5 gigahertz wireless band access, like which was brand new at the time, and I was able to download. And it was funny. It's like I got the 5 gigahertz router like right when that technology hit the market, and it was like I was the only one on that band. It was there was no interference, and then like over the 4 or 5 years that I lived up in that room and had Wi-Fi, the 5 gigahertz, it got worse and worse quality over time because there was more competing devices.
More people using it.
Yep, more device, whatever it was. And then ever since I moved out and then later on bought the house and everything, like I only do hardwired connection if I can get away with it.
I'm never in a situation where I need to do hardwired. Even at the furthest point away from my router, I'm still at like 500.
Full connection, yeah.
Yeah, like so I don't. I mean, if I work from home, I might be a little bit more like.
That's
inclined
explicitly
to-
why I did it.
Yeah, to be wired in
'Cause
at all times, but like there's nowhere in the house that it's even bad. And so like even if anything over 100, it doesn't affect my gaming. You know.
Well, that's the thing that I experience is it's the jitter that gets you. So like when you're on like a Teams call and you're working from home or whatever, and you get that jitter spike, even just the little blip, Teams will like kick off or freeze you. And if you freeze, everyone knows you're frozen because you're on video. It's like it's obvious as shit. And so then everyone stops. Are you back with us? Okay, all right, I'll continue. And it's like it just stops everything.
Have you ever just sat there?
What, after I came unfrozen?
No, like you pretend to freeze.
Never.
No.
Why would I ever want to do that?
in the middle of saying,
No, I
And then click leave.
Yeah.
you're the only one that gets your joke. It's like, what is he doing?
I could see
think it's
your
so
dog is running around in the background. You're clearly not frozen. There's a guy who drove by your window. Like, what the hell?
I used
start-
to do that
You
in
start giving yourself glitches. You're like,
Like, it's like fast forwarded.
So I used to do virtual notary calls, and I would do that sometimes. I'd be like,
What? And then would you come back?
well, no. So
Or would you like leave because you didn't want to deal with it?
So here's the thing.
our connection was bad.
It was never. Well, here's the thing. So our notary system, right, that we used, they would come in on a gray screen, and sometimes they could see us, but we couldn't see or hear them. So I would do the usual. If you could see, like, can you see or hear me? And then if I didn't get anything, I would wait 5 minutes, or not 5 minutes. I would wait. You had to wait 60 seconds to get credit for the call. So I would freeze.
Why?
Because what else am I doing for 60 seconds in this camera that's watching
Just
me?
acting like a normal human being. And,
then
if they come on, they
in,
come on.
If they come on, I end the call.
So then you don't get credit.
No, I do.
No, because it wouldn't have been 60 seconds.
Well, that's why I wait 60 seconds.
So they come back on camera, and you hold pose for another 30 seconds until you can leave?
They wouldn't.
Oh, dude, this sounds so weird. Dude, I would literally question everything about that notary service. I'm like, I don't know about this guy. He's clearly moving. There's a shadow that drifted, like...
You know, you can you can do things like
I'm pretty sure you weren't that convincing. I don't think...
I was.
No.
you could like do
Nobody
things
ever
like decrease resolution of your camera? Like make it really shitty to make it look like you have bad connection. Just don't move.
You're like 3 pixels. That sounds so dumb.
When have you committed to like drinking water?
Yeah. That sounds so dumb, dude. I can't believe you did that.
That's so funny.
I would know your ass is fraudulent, man. I would spot that from a mile. Be like,
Would you though?
yes.
You think you would?
You think he could sit that still?
There's also
It's
other
so
things
obvious.
you said you would spot that you couldn't spot.
It is so obvious when a frame freezes. Yeah, you're not. You're moving.
I'm listening to you. I'm not even fucking.
You're role playing, and
You're so obvious.
I'm just sitting here.
You're role playing, dude. It is so blatantly obvious when your screen freezes because you're sitting at a little shitty desk too, and your things probably bouncing and stuff. You're bouncing your foot, and the camera's shaking.
No, you could.
And you hold the dumb
You
look on
can't
your
not
face.
bounce your foot for 30 seconds. Can't control.
Yeah.
You think he convinced people that he froze?
Well, the thing is, I never knew if they could see me or not.
You're on some Discord somewhere, some guy going, "Holy shit, this guy acted like he was AFK." And then your dog scurries in the background. And you're still holding the pose. Fucking, I got it. Hold, leave. Like,
I do that. See, I do that when people come into my office unannounced. They walk in and I just freeze. And then they go, "Hey, you. Hey, can I talk to you?" And I just don't move. My computer's on Zoom so you can see that there's people talking, but I don't move.
It worked real well for Drax, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm standing so still.
Invisible to the naked eye.
I don't think you convinced a soul.
I don't know if anybody saw it ever. That's
I
the
don't
thing,
know,
you
man.
So why? That's so goofy. Just
'Cause-
chill. Like,
so-
hey, I'm gonna be here if you reconnect, and then you just do something else.
So
Flip
right
the
from
phone.
if they
and these are recorded, right? So somebody like audits it, and it's like Dylan's.
Why- but
It's
here's
like,
the
wait
thing.
a minute.
He must have had a bad connection. Sign off.
if it was a gray screen, it was about a 99% chance they weren't connecting.
So you just hoped that they wouldn't. And then, but
well-
you said explicitly if they connected, you would
would
just
hold it.
That's
disconnect.
yeah, there was a 1%
You would
chance
hold
they
it.
would. And if they did,
What if they
disconnect.
connected after 30 seconds? You have to hit that pose for 30 seconds.
Then I might talk to him, who knows?
Yeah, but
Like-
you've already been frozen for the first 30 seconds. Oh, hello, Howard.
Then you stay frozen, and then you go, "Hey, what can I do for you?"
What can I do?
Sorry.
Sorry, it's a result of my stiff person syndrome. It's just like it's a neurological disease.
Okay, we're back. I think you were just having fun.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
There was
I hope someone had to audit that and go, this guy's clearly.
I told
fucking-"
you guys this story, but there was another person that did notaries. He got fired. During a notary session, he slowly rose his
Yeah.
hand
You told
in the camera the whole notary session. And at one point, they pull up the document and they lose sight of us, right, of the notary. And he said when they did that, they like looked at each other like, what the fuck? Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, you can go in and show me your ID. Perfect. Hold it right there. All right. So I'm gonna have you go and click on that review document button. It's gonna pull up the.
Oh my
Wild.
god, dude.
Absolutely.
Oh
wild.
my god. All right, Dylan, where can people find us?
Well, last check-in. Did you think of anything?
But I already said no. I'm not partaking.
Oh.
All right.
I thought you said you just didn't
I
have
don't
enough
succumb
time.
to peer pressure.
I think we should get Kyle off the podcast.
Go for it.
He's not an
See
ideal
what
man.
happened.
Freeze.
He's not an
Oh, you
ideal
think you
man.
could do this to me?
You think you could
You
do this? with that?
motherfuckers.
So what if for the end of this
K
podcast?
ratio.
I started this thing.
Stop.
What if, Kyle, you found two other guys with the first name that started with a K? What would you call that?
Well, I think we all know where that's going.
It's a cool kids club.
The Cool
that's
Kids
it.
Club.
Well, on that, Dylan, where can people find us?
YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, any major podcast listening platform, as well as right here On YouTube, we stream every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Come join us, chat in, let us know what you think. Listen to our
What you think?
what you think. Listen to our crazy nonsense. And I think for the end, we should all freeze.
Just
Our
end it.
best impression